Well, welcome to our summer series, part one. So in our summer series, we're going to look at 3 questions. The first one is, where did we come from? The second one is, why are we here? And the third is, where are we going? So these 3 questions are quite interlinked. And so I apologise in advance for stealing anybody's thunder over the next couple of weeks, but I will try and discipline myself and stay on task. For those who know me, that's going to be quite difficult, and it'll be a miracle if it occurs. God, with the Israelites, he told them that they had to attend 3 festivals. Passover first, Pentecost second, and Tabernacles third. And they are really important. They talk about Jesus, each one of them. But the take what I want to point out about these 3 festivals is Passover looks back to when God took Israel out of Egypt, and he gave them Passover to remember what had happened. Pentecost is a convocation of holiness. So it's a call to holiness for the Jews. But for us in the church, it's a celebration of the Holy Spirit, Jesus sending the Holy Spirit to us. Yeah. And Tabernacles is another convocation of holiness, or a call to holiness, but it looks at the nations, which we've just heard in that psalm that Rod read, about the nations will be judged by whether they accept God or not. And it's looking forward to Jesus' return. So in these 3 festivals, we have past, present, and future, which our 3 questions look at. Where have we come from? Past. What are we doing here? The now. And where are we going? Future. So it's not unbiblical to put the 3 together. It has been said that the only thing we learn from history is that we do not learn from history. True?
Yeah.
Especially in the Western world. So, what I'd like to do to set the scene for today's sermon is to start with a Māori whakatauki, or proverb. Kia, and I apologise in advance for any poor pronunciation. Kia whakatau muri te hari whakamura, which translates into English as, I walk backwards into the future with my eyes fixed on the past. It conveys the Māori perspective that the past, the present, and the future are connected. They are intertwined. And we should learn from the past to inform our future. God has given us his story, so to inform our future. So we all came from somewhere, right? We're here. We all have a biological father and a biological mother. That's where we came from, right? Sweet? Got that? Right. And they had a biological father and a biological mother, so on and so on and so on. So we come from a history of repetition of having children.
Yep.
So I know, or I knew, my mum and dad. They knew where I came from. I have children. I knew where they came from. I was there. And I'm restraining myself because my kids would tell me off for what comment would normally follow from that. And my wife would tell me off as well. And I have grandchildren. I know where they come from. Right? But where, if you keep on going back, where did we come from? Who was there at the beginning? No one. Job, unless God asked Job that question when Job was complaining about his treatment. And he said, where were you when I created everything? In Job 38. God was there. When he created everything. We'll come back to that. In Genesis chapter 7, it records that there was a worldwide flood. It destroyed every living thing except those who were in the ark with Noah. So there was Noah, his 3 boys, his 3 daughter-in-laws, and his grandson, Canaan. Right? And his wife, thank you. Yeah. And there were 2 of every kind and 7 of some. So God destroyed everyone else. So we all descend from Noah and one of his 3 sons. Research by an organisation called Answers in Genesis concludes from DNA analysis of people throughout the world that we can all trace our ancestry back to Noah. Okay, so we all came from Noah and one of his children. So that's where we came from. We came from Noah. Where did Noah come from? So in Genesis chapter 5, there's a record of the genealogy from Noah back to Adam. Therefore, all of us have descended from Adam. He's our great, whole lots and lots and lots and lots of greats grandfather. That's where we came from. Where did Adam come from? Simple. God made him. That's what Genesis chapter 1 tells us. God was there and he's got Moses to write it down so that we know. So the answer to where we came from is God created us. He created Adam, and from Adam all the way down to each of us. However, more than this, he created you. He used your parents, but he created you. David said in Psalm 139, 13 to 16, you made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. So David's talking about him, but it applies to us. Okay? Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvellous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion. As I was woven together in the dark of the womb, you saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. God's got a plan. Paul in Ephesians picks up on this idea that we are God's workmanship. And it's expressed in the context of our salvation. So Ephesians chapter 2 verses 8 to 10 says, for by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not by yourselves, it is the gift of God, not as a result of works, so that no one can boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand so we could walk in them. Karen likes that verse. Yeah. In here we see God's involved with us being born, and He's involved with us being born again.
Yeah.
That's where we've come from.
Yeah.
The Greek word poema, which is translated as workmanship, refers to a masterpiece. It's not just an ordinary thing, it's a masterpiece, a work of art, that which is made. God has made you. That's what we are, God's creation, a masterpiece, a work of art. You are God's creation, a work of art, a masterpiece. What anybody else says, well, no matter what you say of yourself, that's what God says about you. Let that sink into you. That God has created you a masterpiece. So just like Job, no one was, as Job learned, no one was there when God created everything. So in Genesis chapter 1, we have the record given by God of creation of the heavens and the earth and all their hosts or inhabitants. So it's the stars in the heavens, God created them. The people on the earth, God created them. And in verse 31 of Genesis chapter 1, God looks at what He's made and He goes, it is very good. So, God created us, and He created us very good. That's where we've come from. Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. So how did we get to where we are today? When we look at the world today, it's not all very good. We heard about that in one of the readings, I think, the Psalm one. You know, earthquakes and wars, and we know within our own lives it's not all very good. We fall short. But as we heard from Paul this morning, His mercies are new every morning, because we need His mercies new every morning. Well, I do. And I think I speak for all of us. Yeah. What a good God. Behold the kindness of God and the severity of God. Romans 11:12 says the severity of God to those who disobey, and the kindness of God to those who believe. So Genesis chapter 3 tells us the story, tells us about the fall of mankind when Satan entered God's creation, deceived Adam and Eve, and because God had given them free will, the result was the world has become affected by sin and rebellion. And we know that. We don't have to look very far. We can look inside and we see that. So God, in giving mankind free will, He was not surprised by the outcome. He is omniscient, which means He's all-knowing. And the all-knowing is past, present, and future, because God exists outside of time. He created time. So before He created us with the opportunities to fall, He had a plan of redemption. Ephesians 1:4 says, "For He chose us in Him," that is in Jesus Christ, "before the foundation of the world, to be holy and blameless in His presence." So that's God's plan for us to be holy and blameless in his presence. We're not there yet. So that's the future one. We'll look forward to that in part 3. But God's plan was to send Jesus to step into his creation himself. And so Jesus came, lived a godly life, fulfilled all the requirements for us, and then died on the cross. He paid the penalty for our sin, enabling our relationship to be restored. That's our view. That's our take. But in doing so, he revealed the mercy and the kindness of God. That he's graceful. I think God had in his mind an audience of the angels when he had this plan. Because he was severe in dealing with the fall of Satan and the angels that fell with him. And now he needed to show the angels his kindness and his justice go together. Anyway, I digress. So God has a plan, and it includes you, and it includes me. Sonia quoted this verse in the pre-meeting, which I invite you all to. You are welcome to come to our pre-service prayer meeting, 9:30 every Sunday. That was for free. So in Isaiah 29 verse 11, the primary context of this verse is Israel, but it also applies to us. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for prosperity and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." Sonia went on to read the next few verses, and it talks about seeking him, and we will find him. So today we've looked at where we've come from, and we've seen that, firstly, all of us descended from Noah, and therefore from Adam. God created the heavens and the earth, and it was good. Sin entered the world as Satan tried to upset God's plan. And he's still trying to upset God's plan. And God sent Jesus, as originally planned, to die on the cross to pay the price for us to be restored in our relationship with him. He loves you. He wants to be with you. He wants you close. He wants to know you. He wants you to know him. God has a plan. That plan includes you. Plans for our present. His word is a light to our feet, the present. And plans for our future, the light to our path. His word is. Come again next week as we look like while we're here, and the week after.